This is the Haulin Assets podcast, where we show you how to start and run your own trucking company. Ever wanted to go out on your own? Follow Chris as he goes through the highs and lows of running on his own authority. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Haulin Assets podcast, episode number 178. Today we are talking April 2025 financials. I'm your host, Craig. Over there, he's Chris. Hey, Chris.
How's it going?
You know, not too bad. Although, I got to admit, I didn't really recognize you when you walked in. Not because you look so different. It's just...
it's been so long.
It's been so long. Yeah, you've been busy out there, huh?
It's been a little crazy.
Yeah?
One of the reasons we didn't record, we'll talk a little bit about here in the intro in a few minutes.
Okay, all right. Well, let's get there after I remind everybody, HaulinAssetsLLC.com for full show notes, including, if you're new here for these financials episodes, you can get the profit and loss statement that we're going to be talking about. It's right there. Everything's totally transparent. We've been posting them on there for 6 years, Chris. You can go back and see 6 years of profit and loss statements for the company and follow along as we chart the performance and the growth and the ups and the, one or two downs here or there. Right, Chris?
Yeah.
So, HaulinAssetsLLC.com. Also, don't forget MotorCarrierHQ.com for the tips, tools, and people that you need to make the jump from employee driver to owner operator and beyond, right? In space. Yeah. I feel like I need to add something there. All right. And then what am I forgetting? HaulinAssetsAcademy.com for you DIYers out there. You want to self-educate? Chris has put together some really, really good resources, some courses that you can take that in the world of online courses are dirt cheap and are incredibly helpful. So go check that out as well. All right, Chris. We're going to be talking about financials, but first I got to hear tales from the road because I think you've got a few weeks of them built up.
Yeah, well, there's a legit me tale from the road.
That's right.
I finally, after way too long, several months, got back in the truck and got to do a little trip that it turned out to be a little bit of an adventure.
Okay, where'd you go?
Seattle.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, your favorite place.
It's my second favorite city in the whole world.
Yeah, I didn't get to see a baseball game while I was there. Unfortunately, I was only in Seattle for but a brief moment.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, just to kind of set the stage here a little bit. I had to fly out on Mother's Day, which is, anytime you're leaving home on Mother's Day is not a
fun conversation to have.
it's not a great way to start any trip.
But you did it. So you had to fly out to get the truck?
I had to fly out to get the truck. I'm not going to go into it because it's kind of a personal matter with the driver. Nothing egregious or anything. It just, life happens, right?
Sure.
And so anyway, because of that, the truck was up in Seattle, in the Seattle area, and I had to fly out to go get it. I had to leave on Mother's Day. It was kind of the only timing within several weeks that worked in any way, shape, or form. And obviously that's not an ideal situation. So I took the very last flight out of Salt Lake to Seattle for the day. And so I didn't end up landing in Seattle until after midnight. And I don't know if have you ever taken an Uber from the Seattle airport?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They have the craziest Uber setup I think I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah. It's not great, Bob.
It's not great. But at 12:30 at night, it was jam-packed, crazy number of people. I can't imagine what it would be like in the middle of the day.
Okay.
Like it was insane. There's a constant stream of Uber and Lyft cars. And I'm not exaggerating this. There's like a half a mile line for the cars come into pick up riders. So, my driver was half a mile away and it took 15 minutes for him to get to where he was picking me up. So anyway, I've gotten there. Let me take a little bit of a step back. So
wait, can I say it for you?
Please do.
To make a long story short.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you. You're doing my job for me.
That's right.
To further set the stage for this, I know that there's no mattress in the truck. I know I'm getting to Seattle at in the middle of the night. I don't want to check a bag. So and I don't know if the truck's going to start. So I've got in my checked bag a big set of jumper cables, like takes up probably a third of my bag.
This
just
is in
the
your
jumper
carry-on?
cables. In my carry-on.
How did that go?
You know what? They didn't say anything.
Okay.
They didn't say. I was kind of worried about it, but they apparently a large amount of metal, as long as it's coiled like a rope, is just fine.
Okay. All right.
So I've got that in my carry-on. I don't have a mattress, so I take my backpacking air pad. I take my sleeping bag to sleep.
Oh, there's
in.
no mattress in the truck.
No mattress in the truck.
Okay.
So
So you're backpacking it.
I'm back
off the plane.
Yeah, I've got my one carry-on suitcase with a big ass jumper cable in it, a backpacking pad to sleep on, and my sleeping bag. That takes up like 75% of my
for sure
my carry-on. Then you add my little toiletry shaving kit, and there's like a little tiny bit of room for some clothes, like one pair of workout clothes and another change of clothes, and that's about it. So I get to the airport, get the Uber. The Uber ride's like an hour-long Uber ride to where the truck's parked.
Okay.
And truck parking in the greater Seattle-Tacoma area is terrible.
A nightmare.
So there aren't many places to do it. And so this poor Uber driver like has no idea where he's going. And we get close to the destination. I'm like, hey, would you mind if you could you stick around for a few minutes just to make sure I can get this truck to start? And he's like, oh yeah, sure. And then we like pull up on this gated not gated community, this gated parking area that I'd called ahead with the guy. And I said, hey, can you let me in at 2:00 in the morning? And he's like, no, but I'll leave it unlocked.
And spoiler alert, he did not leave it unlocked.
No, actually, he did.
Oh,
it was all unlocked.
Oh, good.
But I go in to unlock the gate, and like if you were going to kill somebody and leave a body, like this is the perfect place to do it. And so you've got this Uber driver that's
just
like,
nervous as heck.
Opening the gate. He's like, I've already told him I'll stick around. The guy's like, where are you taking me?
That's awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, so we have to drive back, completely unlit lot, nothing, like just, trashy vehicles parked everywhere. Get back to the truck, and I go, and this truck hasn't been driven for several weeks. So I'm like, is it even going to start? Luckily, the driver had turned off the power.
Oh, okay.
Starts right up. No problem. So Uber driver, like sweating profusely, like beelines it on out of there. Lucky that he hasn't lost his life.
With the 6 foot out of towner in, what are you?
In my muscle shirt, my wife, ready to take him down.
So you got the shrubbery, you headed home, and was that the end of it?
So then, this is 2:00, like literally around 2:00 in the morning. I get the truck, get it started, and it's one of those situations where there's no great way. Like it's pretty easy to like pull in and back into the spot where the truck was, but not to turn around and get out.
Right.
So I'm having to do like a 50-point turn in a semi truck to get back out of the facility.
And you're just thinking your lucky stars that it's 2 a.m. and nobody's watching you.
And I've gotten no sleep at night. I'm safe. I'm making sure I'm not I'm not falling asleep or anything. But anyway, I finally get it out, and I've got to drive all the way to Portland because the load of nursery products that I'm picking up is just south of Portland. And have you ever been in that area? It is so pretty.
Grew up there.
Yeah, it's so pretty. Anyway, I get down there. I pull up to the parking lot where I'm of the facility where I'm going to pick up the trees at like 5:00 in the morning. And this, Portland's a big town, but pretty quick you get out in the middle of nowhere outside of Portland. And I'm in the middle of nowhere, 2-lane roads everywhere with zero shoulder. 5:00 in the morning, I pull up and they've got a cable spread across the entrance to the parking lot. I'm like, oh crap. So I park the truck, and luckily there's no lock on this cable. So I, essentially make myself at home.
Just open it up.
Unstring the cable, open it up, pull into the parking lot, string it back up, and like rack out for about 2 hours before I hear the knock on the door. This loud knock. I'm like, oh crap. They don't sound happy already. But open the door, happy dude. hey, you here to pick up a load? And I'm like, yes, as a matter of fact, I am. I didn't just randomly show up in your parking lot.
So all's well that ends
so
well?
all's well that ends well. I get there, get a truck full of shrubbery for the nights that say nyeh, and
okay,
home.
There's a nice 70s deep cut.
Yeah, that's one of the best movies ever, right?
Absolutely. All right. Well, so this is the nice thing about owning a trucking company is that every once in a while you're going to have to hop into the cab, right? Mm-hmm. And you get better work stories. And most of our listeners are in the same boat, right? You guys all get better work stories than I get, and that 90% of the American workforce gets. So congratulations on no sleep, ticking off your wife, and scaring the crap out of an Uber driver. Yeah, that's pretty good Mother's Day.
It was a pretty fun couple. It was a whirlwind, obviously, because I was back in Salt Lake Tuesday morning to deliver the load of shrubbery, and
you can't even say that word, can you?
Not without smiling. It's one of the best movies of all time.
All right, Chris, should we talk financials?
I guess if we got to go to a boring subject.
Well, you know what? The people demand it. Okay, yeah. They're used to this now. They demand it. So we're talking April 2025 financials. So let's see. February was a pretty good month. March was very good.
Yeah,
a surprisingly good month. Give us a little spoiler alert. How did April turn out? How you feeling?
April's actually it's definitely not as good as March was. It's a little bit deceiving, the number, but it's definitely moving in the right direction. If you look at year over year, better than April last year. So this, essentially the whole start to this year, except for January. January was still decent, but it wasn't as good as last year, January. But all in all, the beginning of 2025 is definitely a lot better than it was 2024 or 2023. And 2022 started out kind of strong, and that's when it kind of started to crash. It was crashing by this time. So I'm cautiously optimistic that we're moving in the right direction. We've got several solid months now of decent numbers. Last month, if we could maintain what we did in March, kind of going forward, that would be great. April still was pretty good, and like I said, the numbers are a little bit deceiving. We'll talk about why that is.
Okay, well, let's get into them then. Let's talk first about mileage. Now, 11 trucks still in the fleet, been that way for a while, and it's going to keep being that way until you have 6 to 12 solid months like this.
Yeah, probably.
All right, so 11 trucks in the fleet. Everybody moving?
But that one truck that I had to go pick up, it was parked for about half of April. So,
wow.
It lowered the numbers a little bit, but really not much lower than they were last month. 112,158 total miles.
Okay.
Not terrible.
Okay,
not
so
great.
just over 112 for 11 trucks. Yeah. All right. Deadhead miles.
8,143, which is again a little bit higher than last month, but that's 7.3%. So again,
You're still in your comfort zone. It's on the high end of your comfort zone, but we're okay. As I recall, it's like 5 to about 7.5%. You're fine.
Yeah,
you're good with those.
We
numbers.
Start getting over that, then especially if we start pushing 10%, then it gets tough.
Eats into your profit margin.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. So that gives us a total revenue number of.
You know what? I've got the wrong number on here, but there we go. There, I've got it right down below. So I don't have the cents. 229,695.
229.
609. 229,695.
Round up, call it 230.
230.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's a solid number then. And what does that do in terms of profit then?
So before we get to profit,
we want to do rate per mile.
The rate per mile was $2.05. So we're consistently sticking above $2. It's not quite as good as it has been the last several months as far as rate per mile goes, but I think that's about average of what we had last year, maybe a little better than average of what we had last year. So overall, I'm feeling decently okay about it.
205. All right. You know, that would be a good update for us to do sometime, an updated episode on rate per mile and what you're looking for in this market. And I bet it's a little bit different if you were driving one truck versus owning 11 versus owning 100 or 1,000, right? Yeah. That might be interesting to talk about. But for this month, 205, which, okay. So what is that?
And we can explain that partially at least. This is like the slower time of the year for our main shipper.
Gotcha.
And things will start to pick up a little bit in May, but more in June. And by June, we should kind of be a little bit more back into a normal rhythm with our main shipper.
Okay, good. So what does that do then in terms of total profit? All right, total profit. What a dumb phrase that is. But for profit this month is?
So the total profit was $47,211.69.
Nice.
So that's still, on paper, that looks really good. But again, it's a little bit deceiving.
Okay.
There's some things in the P&L that kind of are a little bit abnormal.
You told me, you gave me a heads up ahead of time that number was going to be a little deceiving. And so I didn't look any further into it because I wanted to be surprised by this. So what is deceiving about a profit number that's looking that good?
Well, there's two expenses that were way out of normal. And that's on the low side. And that's really why that happened. So if we jump into the P&L, kind of cover those items, first revenue, again, revenue a little bit more on the low side, not terribly low, but not as high as we would like it to be. And that's a combination of the lower miles and the lower rate per mile.
Okay.
But then if we get into kind of some more of the nitty gritty, fuel was about normal, 27.7% of total revenue, which again is, not really about where we want to be. 25 is like really, really good. So 27.7, not bad at all. So the two biggest issues with the P&L this month is the first one's insurance. In April, we renewed our insurance. So all we had to do is come up with a down payment, and that down payment is amortized or spread out through the entire year.
Right.
And so even though we fork out a large amount of cash, that doesn't hit our P&L. It hits our P&L in 12 equal amounts,
right,
spread out through 12 months. So normally that insurance expense would be a good $12,000 more than what we're seeing. 12 to 15,000 more.
So why does it not show up in May then? Or in April, I mean.
In April, because we do that down payment,
you did
not
the down
a
payment.
regular insurance payment. The regular insurance payments will start in May.
Gotcha. Okay. So insurance throws that off a little bit. And you said there were a couple of things, right?
Yeah. And so then the other one is, this is really just random. Repairs and maintenance were lower than normal. A good $12,000 or $10,000 less than normal.
And that's okay. So after having talked with you about these issues for 6 years, when I hear, hey, the repairs and maintenance were lower than normal, I okay, great. It made the numbers look good this month, but it makes me go, okay, good. What's that going to mean next month?
Yeah.
If it's going to be tires or something, an engine blows out or something that, there's going to be something.
There's going to be something. And, our trucks are getting older. And so that maintenance and repairs category is going to do nothing but continue to increase as time goes on.
Right. Okay, good. So what does that do then? You've got your 47,000 number in profit then, and that is what's on the profit and loss statement. But do you adjust that in your head then for what this quote unquote really was this month?
Yeah, I kind of do to a certain extent, and this is really just kind of me looking at and evaluating the business. If I had to kind of look at it, I say, okay, on paper we showed a $47,000 profit. To me, this really more feels like a $25,000 a month profit, which $25,000, if you look at the course of the last year, that's still a lot better than average. And
right.
So even at that, it would
still be better than last year.
Better than what we were seeing for most of last year. So it's no really, I wouldn't consider this a $47,000 month profit. It feels more like a $25,000 month profit, which is not bad if you look at what we've been experiencing the last several years.
Right. Okay.
Not as good as it's still decent, still moving in the right direction, but not as good as it looks.
Okay. Still, I'm happier than I was in April or May last year when we were talking about this.
Yeah.
So progress, right? Absolutely. Up and to the right, Chris.
Yeah.
That's all we can ask for.
That's what we're wanting. That's what we got. So let's just keep doing it.
All right. Anything else that you want to pull out numbers wise? Anything else that we need to talk about today before we wrap it up?
I don't think so. I think that's about it.
Okay.
Short and sweet, simple.
All right. Well then, HaulinAssetsLLC.com, MotorCarrierHQ.com, and HaulinAssetsAcademy.com. I think that should cover it. Chris, thanks for coming in. I will see you next time.
See you then.
Chris, I got a story for you. That was a pretty short episode. We gotta tell a story for absolutely no other reason than to take up some more time in these poor drivers' cabs.
All right, let's do it.
You gotta give them the content, Chris. All right, so Chris, what my dream job would be. Okay, now this job doesn't exist. All right, but if it did, it would be my dream job. I would coach 12-year-old rec league baseball. Okay, just like city league, spring ball, that's what my kid is doing right now. And I love it. I absolutely adore this age group. I love baseball. I love coaching. It's okay. So this is all to lead up to, what I can't stand is idiot rec league coaches who take it way too seriously and are horrible examples to their kids, right? Drives me up the wall. And I'm playing a guy tonight. We're heading out to the
bill.
So we played him last year, and I want to tell you what he did last year. And you can ask me, on the next episode if he did anything like this. So this opposing coach, he actually he worked for a minor league affiliate of a major league organization.
Really?
I won't name which one. But so he's been around baseball. Obviously takes it seriously, but come on, dude, this is rec league. So we're in this game, and they were undefeated. We were kind of middle of the pack, and my guys that year, or that day, they just kind of pulled it out and were cranking the ball. They were fielding. They were doing all the stuff that I had taught them to do. Blessedly, finally, somebody was picking up a ground ball.
Sounds like a good team to do it against.
Yeah, exactly. So we were sticking with them. We get to it's the bottom of the fourth inning. Time is almost running out, and they're the home team, so they got last ups. And this kid gets up to bat. Big kid, okay? 11 years old, and he probably weighed close to what I do. Big kid. And he gets a base hit, okay? So he gets over to first base. And then I see this coach call timeout, trot out from the dugout, and run over to first base. And he huddles down with this kid, and then he tells the umpire, "Hey, I got to sub in somebody. He's injured." Kid was not injured. So what he put in his fastest kid, swapped him out for the fat kid, who had just gotten a base hit with one out in the final inning of the game. This kid's a hero, right? And the coach goes and yanks him, and he was crying. No, he wasn't crying before because he wasn't freaking injured, but he's crying on his way back to the dugout, and the fast kid comes in, steals second, steals third, pass ball, steals home, game over. And the coach is just so excited. And I couldn't help it. I went over to him after the game and I said, "Coach, that was freaking Bush League and you know it." "What? What do you mean?" And I was like, "You just destroyed that other kid for the rest of his, sports life. You just murdered that kid's confidence so that you could win this game and stay undefeated for no reason. It's a rec league game." And he wouldn't hear it. He thought that I was, I'm a loser because I don't really want to win enough and all that. Anyway, so I'm playing him tonight. And so help me, if he does anything like that, I'm going straight to the city and just saying, this guy has no business. Give him a travel team, he can start his own thing, but like anything like that, I would just lose my mind, Chris.
Well, I hope you beat him, and I hope he turns beet red.
Oh, me too.
That would be fun. That's the best way to handle that situation.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're looking a little better this year. All right, good. Chris, I'll see you next time.
Sounds good. See you then.